Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of Centered in Art with Explore Mixed Media. My name's Laurie Williams, and I'm here today with Corrine and Terry. You guys want to say hi?
Hi,
Hi,
good morning.
we're glad to be back.
All right, let me turn up
Yes.
my volume from this thing. Okay, so this month we've been talking about being centered in your art, coming up with ways to use art as meditative and therapy. And today's discussion is probably going to be the most useful in that regard. Last week we did doodles, which is something that I do all the time. And I saw Terry, you posted some doodles that you did. Those were very cool. Um, on the website for members, there is some download blanks that you can use to practice doodle patterns and stuff. They're good therapy pieces that when you sit down and you start drawing and making these designs, if you're into Zentangle, it's not necessarily Zentangle, but if you are into Zentangle, all you have to do is, Google it or search it on YouTube, and there is no shortage of designs that you can do and play around with. We do include some inspiration ones on the website. So when you log in for the June 2025 session, you will see there are some downloaded doodles that you can look at. There are also breathing exercises. So, one of the things that I find myself doing a lot when I'm creating is I'm unknowingly really doing these breathing exercises. It's because I think for me, art is therapy, and that kind of just comes natural. But if you find yourself really keyed up and having trouble focusing, integrate some breathing exercises into your art. And we'll do some of that today. Today's breathing exercise for this week is basically breathing while you paint, where, when you lift your brush, you are inhaling, and when you paint, you're exhaling, or vice versa, whichever comes natural to you. But doing that as you go. Today, we are going to learn about and start doing what's called neuro art. And we're going to have a live paint along next Wednesday night for members. So if you haven't officially joined Explore Mixed Media, go to the website exploremixedmedia.com and join, so you can participate with us in this paint along. And the paint along is going to be featuring neurographic art and creating neurographic art. So we're going to do a project with that, and that'll be next Wednesday. What is neurographic art? So I'm going to read this because it's a mouthful, but um, this is a really good definition. Neurographic art is a creative, meditative drawing process that helps transform stress and inner conflict into visual harmony. Developed by Russian psychologist Pavel Beskharov, it it involves drawing free-form lines and shapes, then softening intersections and adding organic patterns. The process is both therapeutic and intuitive, bridging art and mindfulness to support emotional release, self-discovery, and relaxation. So I'm gonna take that one step further in that what I've learned with the neurographic art and with doodling is that it spurs ideas. So if you ever are in a position where you need to create ideas, you can start with some neurographic art, which you're going to see in a minute. It's very simple. And what you do through the process is you keep a notepad next to you. And as ideas come to you, write them down. And then when you're done with your creative session, look back at your notes and you have something to build upon. I know that a lot of times when I'm painting, I get all these great ideas, they come to surface, but then when I'm done, I don't remember them. So by writing it down, you have something to refer back to jar that memory. So that's just a little suggestion there. So I think we should get started, ladies. Do you have anything to say before we jump in?
No, I don't know really what neurographic art is, but I do something myself that's very similar to that. So we'll see.
I think we all do some form of
Yeah.
neurographic,
Hmm.
whether we realize it or not. But
Yeah.
let's do some intentional neurographic art.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
So I'm going to move. I was just funny. This was yesterday's project. I was trying to figure out something, and this is what I do. I don't know what the H it is, but that's it's what I've been doing for 15 years now.
Same with me, Terry. And I've said before, I said when I'm on the phone and I'm talking to a client, and
Uh-huh.
after I get off the phone, without even realizing I've done it, I've got these just amazing doodles on my pad. I have a
Yeah.
whole books full of doodles.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really just it helps my brain. I guess it's kind of the way I'm wired. I don't know, maybe everyone's wired that way. Maybe I'm not that unique, but it helps my brain, through things, work through my thoughts, that sort of thing. So I never realized it until I started paying attention here to just how much, you know, art is connected to our brains. And it just really is. All right, so before I start leading us through, I'm working on some small paper today because I want to do two exercises if we can. One is going to be just creating basic neuro art, and if it may be that that's all we have time for. If it is, and I'll record a separate video on the second project, which would be creating using some of our past um, collage papers, in my case, gel prints, to create a mosaic and then tying that together with neurographic connections. This image right here is one that I created the other night. And what I did was I just took two colors of alcohol ink and I dropped them onto a piece of graphics paper. And then I let it bloom and do what ink does organically. And then I came in with a Sharpie and identified all those edges and those circles and stuff. And then I started connecting them together with the black lines. And that was a very therapeutic and fun project and a very interesting background there, I think.
Very
So
good.
I just wanted to put that. So if you work with alcohol ink, that's a fun way to take advantage of neurographic art. So today, what you want to do is you want to start with a piece of paper, doesn't matter really what kind of paper it is, and a pen. In this case, I'm going to use a Sharpie. You could use an acrylic painter pen. You could use an Illustrator pen if you have it. Basically whatever you want. Black is probably better if you're working on white paper because the part of the interest of it is the contrast. So what you do is you start off, we're just going to create scribbles and circles and stuff on the page without thought. We're just going to come in and you can do straight lines, you could do all kinds of things, just wherever your brain takes you, just real quickly like this, and then I connect it.
Oops. Where did I must have connected it. I can't find a disconnect. Maybe this is the disconnect. There we go.
And there you go. So then when we do that, after you create your scribbles, which you don't really need to think about at all. When you start thinking, it starts to become a little more mechanical. But when you're not really thinking and you're just scribbling, it's very organic. What you're going to do is identify all the areas where the lines cross paths, and we're going to kind of thicken those up. And what starts to happen is it starts to look like, big connections. You could wait if you're going to add designs within each of these areas. You could add these connections after the fact. But this piece right here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and just real quickly do all these connections together. And I'm just kind of thickening the lines so that they actually just kind of flow right into the thinner lines, if that makes sense.
Oh, I may want to go a little more thick on my lines. I think I used too thin of a line.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You just thicken it where the connections are. And it doesn't matter how thin or thick
Oh, okay.
it doesn't matter. And it's so funny because, when I was going through the exercises and creating the exercises from this, I remembered when I think I was in kindergarten, we did this exact same thing. We didn't call it neuro art. We just called it art. It was kind of fun. But we did the same exact thing. Only we didn't really do these connectors. We just colored in the inside lines to create like some, some bold abstract art. But these connections here are representing the connections in your brain of how things connect and ideas come to the forefront or realizations or coping mechanisms, whatever your situation is. And I'm actually doing my breathing exercises as I'm sitting here, so you can do the same thing. Because this morning I do need a breather. It's been a busy morning already. So ladies, how was your art course last week that you guys taught? How did that go?
I had a lot of fun.
I was a student. I had a lot of fun.
Let me just tell you, the stuff that you guys were posting on social media that you were doing, I was a little jealous. Some really cool stuff. I'm like, I want to know how to do that.
Well, come on down and play.
I
I
no,
I
I'm
am
gonna have to do that.
I am currently surrounded by Corinne's art because
It's drying.
it's drying all
Oh,
over
okay.
my studio.
So
So
you worked with
cold wax and oil.
oh, okay, yeah, so it takes a while to dry, yeah.
Yes. So actually she's got most of hers are dry, but I'm not going to go.
Oh, good.
The thinner stuff is dry, but there's a few ones that are thicker
Uh-huh.
that are going to take some time to finish. So I am waiting, but some of the thinner ones are all really nicely dry.
Oh, good. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
That's great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so much fun. It really was. It's very freeing to not pick up a paintbrush. And I don't think,
Interesting. So you did it without a brush. Is that what you're saying?
did you use a
Hmm.
brush at all, Corinne?
I think I picked up one at one time and it was just to push some paint through a stencil, some cold
Yes,
wax and
that
oil through
was
a
the
stencil.
only,
That's
yeah,
about it.
that was it for me too. I don't think I think somebody at one point wanted to know how to work a brush
Yeah.
and then I showed them, but I was very I don't want to call it anti-brush, but we were definitely not.
Adele wanted to know if I posted. Hi Adele, hi Jeanette. Good morning, ladies. Adele wanted to know if I posted the other doodles aside from the ones we did last week. I'm still actually working on filling those in. I filmed these as I was doing them so I could show you how I did them. But I got one more to do and then I'll post those on for you.
Okay, and I posted mine, Adele. I just posted them today because but I only did a few of them.
Right. You didn't put you just posted the pictures, right, Terry? Not
Yeah,
video.
just the pictures, no videos, no videos, no, nope,
All right.
no.
Well, while you guys are still working on that, what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna fill in the individual areas with different colors. And I wanted to use our calming palette. So in this month, there's some in the resources, there is a link to some downloadable color palettes that are meant for calming. Normally, when I do this exercise, I use bright colors and that's what I usually typically like gravitate towards, but I wanted to purposely do some calming colors. So I pulled out some alcohol ink markers for this, and like a green. I've used muted colors, like if there's such a thing as a muted pink and blue. But I think I found some that were close in line with the color palettes on the website, and I figured I would start to fill in some of these spaces with these colors.
So you're doing yours on a piece of graphics, or is it?
Actually, I am doing this on watercolor paper.
Oh, because yeah, markers are going to be darker on watercolor paper.
Exactly. That's what
Mhm.
that's what I'm seeing here. So they're still muted colors, but they are darker.
Okay, that's what I'm just kind of going.
They're definitely brighter um on the graphics or that type of paper, that synthetic paper we use for alcohol. I can just show you on the back side of this. See how the different, can you see the difference there between the two?
Yeah, they're very much different. Yeah. I actually have some acrylics here that I might try doing that same thing with. And
Yes, you could use watercolor markers, probably would work better for this.
oh,
That's no-
watercolor markers.
Oh, yeah, I have some of those.
I
Yeah.
have some of those. Thank you for the great idea.
I'm
Or
working on
or the
watercolor
waters.
paper.
What would be interesting too are the water soluble watercolor pencils, or like my ink tinses.
Oh, I've got the Intenses, but
I
my
love
Intents are
those.
all tense. I mean, they're not soothing. I have intense ink tenses. I didn't get the pastel set. So I would say no for my ink tenses.
So that marker's dry. I have to grab another one.
Okay.
That's a shame because that was a really nice muted pink. Here's another one. Let's hope this one's better.
Okay.
When you have Spectrum Nora markers for 10 years,
Yes, I know. I was using mine the other day too.
right,
And
this is a lot brighter and less muted than I was hoping for, but I'm going to still go with this.
I'm still working on my connections. Or my lack of connections. Since I've never done this project before, my connections are looking
It takes a little while to do all those connections.
It
Yeah,
does.
the
It
more
really
scribbles
does.
you do, the more work you got. But
I know I over scribbled a bit.
that's
But
okay.
that's okay. That's okay.
You got a lot to work
Yeah,
with now.
I do have a lot to work with. Well, and I needed to also darken my lines because they were just too pale for my other colors.
And then it starts to get a little interesting when you don't want to have colors consecutively next to each other on these. So I
Right.
don't think we're going to have time to do the second exercises. I thought that was going to be a little bit uh wishful thinking, but we're going to actually do it on our live paint along on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Create a mosaic. And
Okay.
we're going to tie that together with these neurographic lines. And we're going to create a mosaic with collage paper. So we're going to actually cut them with scissors.
Okay.
Oh my
Straight edges
heavens.
for this, and then we're going to organically put them together as a mosaic. You can do a design if you want. You can just do it random if you want. Whatever your heart desires. You can look at different patterns you might want to emulate. But we're going to do the same sort of thing. But we're going to do the mosaic, and then we're going to come back in with the black lines to make the connections.
Oh, I see. So we will do it almost opposite of what we're currently doing it.
Yeah, and you know what? An interesting thing could be to start off with black, if you have a black paper to work on.
Black
Oh.
paper?
Or you paint your paper black to start with.
I have black, I do have black
Hmm.
paper. I've got black watercolor paper somewhere.
Oh,
So
there
that
you go.
sounds like a really good, and that's Wednesday night, Lori?
Yes, that
I think
is,
I have,
what's the date on that? Wednesday, oops.
The
Look at,
25th.
sorry about that. My mouse was getting away from me. The Zoom is on the 25th at 7:30 PM.
okay.
Okay, well, okay, now I am going to, I just have way too many of these crossovers. I got a little carried away, but that's okay. I think I'm done now, and I'm going to grab I think I have watercolor.
That's what I'm using, watercolor markers.
These water dual
I
tip.
I have Tombows.
Mine
Oh,
are,
I have a whole set of those. I should have used those.
yeah, look at
'Cause
that.
these are way too dark from what I was hoping for, but it's still, you get the picture and I still think it looks kind of cool.
Well, let me see what this looks like.
See what colors I have.
I don't know. Let's see if they're still even dry, if they're still, oh, well, that's very light. So I've got the opposite problem of you, Lori. Mine are very light, but they're still a little neon for light, for what I was looking for.
I mean, this color it's gold and it's coming up brown. So, you know, yeah, it's gold when you do it on a regular paper.
Yeah. Well, one,
One's gray.
mine is yellow, but it's a very light yellow. So I'm working on some putting some light yellow and just some like,
Yes, so let me see here. How about
you see my pastelly. Do I
olive
need?
green? This would be cool. Oh
Oh,
no, that isn't good.
This really needs another line in it. Base is too big.
I have lots of big spaces. Okay, what's this color? A13. Oh, well, that's the lightest orange it says I have. And it's still some orange. Well, that's not that really
Oh, yeah.
light, but sometimes I might even end up with. Mine are demanding a little water to work. I don't think they've been opened in 4 years. I had a class of kids
Yeah,
I did,
and
and
I'm setting aside my markers that aren't working so I can pull the nibs out and put some alcohol in them.
right, yeah,
Reactivate them. That's always worked for me anyway.
right, it does for me too, but I need to, I need to get, I don't know whether I can put water back in these or not. Or whether it's just, so I was trying to soak I've got a little bit of water here that I'm soaking the color in. Well, I wonder if the other color comes out. Yeah, see, it comes out much brighter on the other end, but I want the brush end. So I don't want it that.
And we can continue on, if you want, around the edges with either some doodle designs, where you can come in the middle of these with doodle designs. I'm just gonna put lots of dots all around.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay, well, that's green. But I thought it was more teal. When you've never used one of these before too, you don't know what colors you got. But that's good. That's good.
Mine ended up looking like an animal with a backpack.
Really, it does kind of.
Mine too, look,
Well,
I've got a
no, turn
mouse.
it. Oh, yeah, it could be an animal back. Then it's a bird on a.
It is.
I love your
It's
bird.
holding something in its beak.
Right, I
Oh, look
know.
at that.
I love your bird.
I did one of these in a art league meeting one day. They had an instructor come in and do it with our group, and mine ended up looking like a bicycle with a person on it. It was so odd.
Well,
It was just fun. Ooh, forgot a little spot here. Oh, maybe we'll just fill that in this way.
I need some big colors somewhere. I want A519, but I don't know where it is. There it is. Got to get some teal going here. Well, it got much brighter than I wanted, but hey, it's pretty. Come on, little lighter, please.
I like to doodle inside some of the shapes.
Yep.
Yeah, I could do that too. I could doodle outside some of the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when I am in a thinking mode or what I would consider more prayerful mode, I put words in it, but I will make them like conform to the space. So
Uh-huh.
if I want to put the word peace in here, I might go like this.
Right.
And then it conforms to the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I love doing that too as a black and white, whatever. A lot of times, like long things like this are almost always surrender to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, but it's
Yes.
so the shapes make me think of words that I need to think of too or meditate on. Because it is extremely meditative.
It is.
It is.
I
So,
mean, another good use for it is, you want to create something. You've ever been in the mood to create something, but then you sit down and you have like no direction,
no direction.
Yes.
Right.
right? And so like, I don't know what I want to do. Start doodling. Something will come to you.
Right.
I was thinking about what you said, Laura, when I was working full time, I would sit in meetings and I would doodle and it would help me pay attention.
Yep.
Exactly. I think that's what it is for me too, Corey. Like I said, when I'm on the phone and I'm talking to a client,
Mm-hmm.
and I when I get off the phone, I'll look down at my paper and there's this little mini doodle masterpiece going on.
Yeah, when I first, the first time that I ever did any art, I was like 40, and I ended up having to go to a conference right after that. And I found myself I couldn't stop doodling. It was really crazy how much doodling I ended up doing because it was like it kept me listening to the person where I would have just kind of disappeared because it was a very boring conference.
So Adele has a really good alcohol ink question.
Okay.
Okay.
She wants to know how you get the alcohol inks to show up on black Duralar.
With what?
Oh, with white snow cap.
Yes.
Yep. Snow cap is our
So
friend.
so either I sometimes will paint with snow cap first. Um, and then depending on if I want the final color to look more translucent or pastel. So I'll sometimes paint with the snow cap first, and then I'll come over it with very, very dry colored ink, or sometimes I'll mix them together and use the pastel color ink.
And sometimes what I do is I drop the ink
Yeah.
in like blues or greens kind of together, and then I drop the that's when I blow it out.
Yes.
Sometimes I do that just to see what kind of interesting underneath paintings I can get. So I do that also. There's so many different things that we can do with the black. But yeah, you have to have something to make it show up. You can also use a silver if you want, and you can then also use, some really pale. The thing is that you have to be opaque. You have to have
It
whatever
has to be
you got
okay.
has to be opaque in order to let it do its singing thing.
No, I haven't tried it. Have either of you tried acrylic? I mean, I've used the snow cap on black, but have you tried acrylic? I guess acrylic might not work on the
Ac-
graphics.
The acrylic, unfortunately, what acrylic is going to do is acrylic is going to it 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 does not mix well with alcohol inks. The alcohol and the acrylic kind of do this ball up mushy mess.
Mhm.
So that's not something I've done. I have done acrylics on black paper where I've worked them through a stencil and let them completely dry and put alcohol inks on it and then did the regular thing. But I've not done any of the I've tried using acrylics instead of snow cap because I ran out of snow cap once and it was an absolute disaster.
Well, at least you tried and you learned. That's what we
I
do.
did, I tried and I learned.
That's what
It
exploring mixed media is all about.
it was a gummy mess. So did
Well,
not
ladies,
have a
it looks like our time is up for today.
okay. Well, I think I'm gonna have to add another word on this, at least two more words.
I like the words idea, and sometimes scribbling out, not necessarily so it's so readable, but scribbling out what you feel is always a good,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it tends to be a good starting point for
Yeah.
just another idea.
So here's, I'm going to add hope in very weird letters here.
Yours looks like a little puppy dog, Lori.
I know, I
I
know.
see ears and a snout and a tail,
Yep. Yeah, Adele said the
or
same.
either that or a
She said it looked like
mouse.
a little mouse. Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Next week, we're going to try a different technique. Um,
Okay.
and that's going to be totally new. We're going to need to, we're going to do a layer. We're going to paint a layer. We're going to scratch off a layer.
Oh,
It's going to be fun.
cool.
And then again, obviously on Wednesday night, we've got our live paint along. So that's going to be fun. We're going to create a mosaic with and neuro art with it. So think, kind of get your juices going in that direction. Think about what you might want to do there.
Okay, that sounds
Hey,
great.
that
All right,
sounds
see you guys
great. And
then.
thank you so much, Laurie,
Thank
for
you. This was great.
Have a good
thanks.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.